I would like to call this meeting of the Human Resource Committee to order. It's Monday, June 6th. It's approximately a little bit past 5:30, and we're here at Nashua High School North. With us are, from administration are Mrs. Carey. See, I actually got your name out without stumbling, and Dr. McKinney. And the members of the committee who are here tonight is Jessica is an alternate for Sharon. Mrs. Giglio had to go to Boston, and she wasn't sure she would get back because traffic coming out, it was a late doctor's appointment, and traffic coming out can be a killer. And Christina just joined us, so we actually have a full committee, correct? And so, having said that, the shall we start with personnel recommendations? You'll all have to bear with me tonight. I am, for the first time, working with this tablet, and I'm not real good with technology.
I move to approve the personnel recommendations dated 6/6/22.
I'll second.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything administration would like to add? You've been busy, huh? Well, I'm glad to see that we're doing as well as we are anyway. That's wonderful news. Okay, so if there are no comments, questions, concerns, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it passes unanimously. I think I heard 3 voices. That means I don't have to ask, are there any nays? And then there are 2 job descriptions. Can I get a motion to approve the first one?
So moved.
Second.
I think you have to, don't we have to identify, I'm trying to get down on, see, this tablet, we got all these new jobs, all this wonderful, Mrs. Carey's been doing a great job. We're going, I hope we don't run her off with too much work.
So actually, I guess I'll clarify the motion. I move to approve the academic support teacher. And
Second.
And then she'll still second.
And would you like, Mrs. Carey or Dr. McKinney, do you want to add any comments or?
So these 2 job descriptions are both from secondary. The first one, academic support teacher, has been requested by the high school principals. Kids at the secondary level are struggling a little bit. This is a support position and somebody who would be on the general education side of things, be able to be a point person for kids who are struggling, coordinating the work, making sure they're getting up to speed, and doing everything they need to get done for their classwork and their schoolwork. It provides kids with one-on-one check-ins, positive reinforcement, meeting with the teams, following up with teachers. It's basically an extra support to get kids over the hurdle and get to graduation. So.
And is this going to be paid for out of regular budget funding? Is it a full-time position or is it temporary? It's a good question, huh?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, right? Yeah, no, it's a full-time position for 2 years in the ESSER grant, ESSER 3.
Okay. That's what I was, but when the time comes, let's pray we have some money, right? Are there any questions or concerns, comments for administration?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown.
So what is the expected pay for this position?
This position, I believe, is listed in the NTU teacher's contract, so they would follow the salary grid that's outlined in Unit A for the teacher's contract.
So there's already a title for this position in the contract?
This would be a teacher position, so yes, they would follow a step and track for experience, years of experience, and the degree of education.
And would they be floating between the 2 high schools?
We're going to be hiring 1 for each high school.
So it's 2 positions at the teacher salary. Okay.
But they're both starting off as grants, right? So that's wonderful. I mean, that doesn't even, luckily enough, that doesn't come out of our budget, right? So it gives us a little more money to spend somewhere else.
Out of curiosity, how does that work at the end of the 2 years?
There are a number of positions that are funded by ESSER that we're going to have to make some tough decisions on continuing those, or looking at the operating budget and which ones are going to be folded in, or do you start folding positions in over time? So it's certainly something to look at over the next 2 years.
That's when the pain begins, Christine.
Yeah, or maybe there's more money coming, who knows, fingers crossed.
It would be nice, but I'm,
Just to clarify, so there are 2 of these positions at the high school and 1 at the middle school level. We are adding 1 at Pennachuck Middle School.
oh, so I actually thought it was middle school. I think one of the ones I read said middle school, and the need there, that's obviously middle school is one of the more difficult, in my view. That's when the kids go through the most need. But in the pandemic, I think they've all suffered. Is there any, Mrs. Brown?
So will the person at the middle school be floating between the 3 middle schools?
Right now, it's just 1 regular ed teacher at the 1 middle school, Pennachuck Middle School. They're looking to have a proactive intervention for general ed kids before they're identified in special education to keep them on track. A lot of the kids are struggling with organizational skills, study skills, managing workloads, and they just need a dedicated person, not a study hall, but somebody they can go to. Some schools have like a team time or an e-block or a win time where they have a dedicated person who can chase down the work and chase down the teachers and get these kids on the path to success. So,
Is there any chance of us being able to it seems kind of unfair to just focus on 1 middle school, because I think that probably is an issue at all 3. Is there a way that we can find room for 1 at each school, or that this would be a floating position?
Not at this time. The other schools have different requests, so not all their requests are the same, but they have other teachers or staff or interventions that are in place that do similar things. So each school is getting something, but it may not be the same thing. So they have asked for different things that would help and support them. For example, Elm Street is looking to add an instructional leader, somebody who can help with the instruction, but also help with the administration, an at-risk counselor. So we certainly could give you, the board, an update on the positions that are there and how they look different at different schools to target the population that they have in front of them. But, we go based on the recommendations from the building principals.
I think I saw something on this one being requested, but I have to tell you, I was telling somebody this weekend how happy I am that we have relatively small classes, because our kids fell so far behind. It's almost heartbreaking. And so this will give our teachers a little encouragement that they can do some one-on-one. I mean, it's really, when you have 25 kids, it's pretty hard to do one-on-one with anybody, especially if you have a discipline problem in the middle of it. So the more I think about it, the happier I am that we have these small classes and that it will give our students an opportunity to catch up. Am I cutting anybody off? No? So seeing that no more concerns, comments, questions, all those in favor? Aye. So that seemed unanimous. And the next one?
Move to approve the position job description for the restorative practices facilitator.
Second.
Okay, and would you like to speak to that, Dr. McKinney?
So this is a recommendation from both high schools, so adding 1 position at both high schools. Certainly, we've had our challenges this year addressing student behavior, student mental health. This would be a dedicated person that could provide training, modeling, consultation, and coaching, be a conduit for teachers and parents, facilitate sort of restorative meetings and hearings and discipline pieces, and basically give another personnel to the high schools. Right now, we need our assistant principals doing a lot. They could be either in hearings or discipline hearings, or we could have them out in the schools while this person could be helping out with some of that. It's been an ongoing challenge with the response from the pandemic for kids, and this is something both high schools have basically asked of, can we have some additional support because we don't want to relive this year again.
Does that, Mrs. Brown?
So I think there's a lot in here that sounds very good. It's a very extensive position with a lot of responsibilities. I have a concern adding something into the budget. We just approved the kind of pilot program a few weeks ago from what the students brought up here, and we thought it was going to be $25,000. Now we're adding 2 full-time teacher positions to essentially do that job. While I understand that there's a lot of need in the district right now, I don't think I can support this because it seems like a really big systemic change right before we are poised for a possible culture shift in Nashua when we're bringing in some new superintendent shortly. I think I would like to wait to make this decision for until we see what direction the district is going. I do think there are some wonderful things out here, but I also think that there are a lot of things in this. This is almost a job for 5 people, not a job for 1 person. The extensive amount of work from training, modeling, consultation, responding to referrals, conduct intake assessments, work on facilitating with administration, circles on campus, students and teachers. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. While I think it's an excellent position, I don't know that it's just maybe it's not just a teacher position, maybe this is more of like a directorial position, and B, it almost looks like a systemic shift rather than just a job. Thank you.
Dr. McKinney.
I guess I would say 2 things. I believe you're mistaken. The $25,000 grant that's already approved in ESSER is to provide training and resources for this person to be trained and facilitated to do these things. And secondly, saying no to this is saying no to the 2 high school principals and saying, yes, we want you to relive this year next year because they're asking for help. And 75% of the work is done. It's in the grant. It's ready to go. This is the final hurdle we like to post. We have people who are interested. And frankly, it's cemented in policy that restorative practices can be one of the tools to help proactively address student behavior and student wellness. And you can't just be giving out consequences without providing supports. So I think it would be an error in judgment.
Did you understand it was a grant?
To support it. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought you didn't understand it was a grant.
No, well, actually, one of my concerns is something that's this, honestly, it's a positive culture shift. To put it in a grant for 2 years, I get nervous that we're going to set up a great program and then have to cut it because it's not in our general operating budget.
And I understand what you're saying, but my thing is, the children that I help in the 2 years that we have it, any child I help anytime, to my naive thinking, is a good thing. And I have to believe these, and it's already paid, it's not coming out of our budget, so I like that personally. So did you want to add something, Dr. McKinney?
Yeah, if you take that line of thinking forward, then basically anything we put in the grant for 2 years shouldn't be there, so we should take it all out. So we should just leave the money on the table and not do things to address the issues from the pandemic. People in the district, the building leaders who know best, put together a job description as one of a series of interventions to address the school. So if there's not support at the board level, I'm happy to go back to them and say the board's not willing to support this, but they're asking for your help and support to address the concerns from vandalism to student health challenges, all these things that have happened this year. I think it's a grave mistake, and if you say no, I understand that's your prerogative, but you're just taking away a resource, frankly, for kids. Thank you.
And I have to tell you, one of the things that I have the greatest respect for both of our high school principals. I have to say, I think we're very fortunate to have the 2 men we have in those jobs. I have great respect for anything. They have, at North, he's built a team. I was on the team when he was hired into that job, and truthfully, he's done better than I could have hoped for. And so, because it's difficult. It's a big population, and the pandemic, it's been, so I probably will be voting for this, but as Dr. McKinney said, we certainly respect your right to disagree and vote your conscience. Christina, did you have questions or comments or concerns?
Actually, just as I look at this, it almost seems like in that 2 years, hopefully, the people in these positions can also help educate fellow teachers around them in, better ways to converse with students, how to deal with conflict in the moment. It might actually be a positive learning experience for everyone around them.
That would be, certainly would be my hope. So did you, I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's all right. To clarify, I'm not opposed to the work this individual is intended to do. I don't want to set up an excellent program just to have someone's feet cut out from under them when they're finally, the first year is going to be training, the second year maybe some implementation, and I think the scope of this job description is very broad. I mean, it almost becomes a second, a third, I don't know how many assistant principals. There's lots of assistant principals. It's almost like another assistant
Mrs.
principal
Brown,
position.
in 2 years, you will be here and you can beg for the money. And I'm
Oh,
sure
no.
you'll be
But,
very
well,
good at it,
but
so.
to clarify, I am not opposed to the
No,
the
I didn't think you were
introducing,
opposed. I wasn't trying
the
to
restorative
beat
practices.
up on you.
And I understand the great need. I just, we're regularly cautioned by Mr. Donovan not to put long-term positions in grant funding. And I get concerned when we do that, because this, like I said, I think this is a systemic shift in a positive way. But I think we really need to be thoughtful about that. I'm not going to oppose it, because I think it's a good thing, but I think it'd be unwise not to make people
Aware.
aware
Yes.
that this, and
Yes.
also I don't want to be in a position where we're making decisions that we're locked into for the next 2 to 5 to 7 years when we may see a big change in a month to 3.
I may not be here, but if you call me, I'll come down and make public comment. I promise. And if you want me to, I'll help beg. I'm good at begging. Did you want to say anything else, Christina?
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the fact that there are a lot of responsibilities on this list. I feel like there's more than other positions that we've approved. Is there basically an end to their job? And if they're part of the teacher scale, pay-wise, is the work comparable to a teacher's work?
So Mrs. Carey and the high school principals looked at a variety of similar job descriptions and took from those and tried to create a composite. I understand this is a new position and we're trying it for a year. Certainly we can come back and revisit this and take things off the table, but no one is sitting with a checklist and saying, did you do this today? Did you do that today? I mean, the main support is the proactive intervention with kids and teachers and parents and families. So, if there's feedback a year from now, we're happy to circle back with the, people in the position and the building principals and make some revisions.
The crises as they come will dictate, will it not?
Say that again?
The crises, as the kids have crises in their lives, as they have turmoil, as they have anxieties. If you look at our adult population, you're seeing that there's anxiety everywhere today. So I think that there'll be more than enough to fill their day. So, but anyway, it was good. Jessica.
One more question. So if we approve this tonight for a year, then will we, I actually don't understand, I don't know for sure how the difficulty of changing a job description once it's in place. Once you've hired a person into that position, changing the job description, is that something that we can do easily, or do we have to talk about MOUs and that kind of thing?
I don't know if I understand the question. Can we revisit and revise the job description? Yes.
In a year from now, we've already got a position, an individual in that position, and they're hired, we love them, they're doing a fantastic job, but we realize there's too much on their plate.
Oh, sure.
Or too little. What is the difficulty in changing that job once somebody is already in the position?
We could revisit the job description. It's likely you would hear from the employee who says, I can't do all this, I need some help, and then that would show up in their evaluation, and then the principals would say with HR, can we take some things off the plate? Some of this is also included in here so that the person would be compensated additionally for doing trainings before and after school, because they need to get the word out on how we do things. So it wouldn't be just their daily duties, it would be an expectation going beyond that. So that's why it may seem more. We would want this person to be one of our key point persons and trainers and presenters to faculty and school teams and departments in sort of these restorative practices and how they're used. So
So again, I'm not trying to be argumentative here. I think this is good work that needs to be done. But after hearing that, do you think this is really a 183-day teacher position, or is this actually a more, I don't know, district float or directorial or something like that type of position?
This is the catch-22. We could make it a director-level position, so you're hiring somebody at more money, but then again, you're back to the, what do we do in 2 years? Or do you keep it at a lower level? Like, we have a lot of teachers who do this, peer coaches. They do additional trainings beyond their contractual work year, and we pay them for that. We pay them on the in-service days to do those things. That is a lower cost item than hiring somebody at a higher salary schedule, if that helps. So there are people who are interested and have gone to some of these trainings that want to bring this work forward. So we kind of have a step in the right direction. But again, that whole 2-year piece, I hear what you're saying, it's like 6 half dozen of another. It's the 2-year challenge is there. That's when the middle school comes online. There's going to be a lot going on in 2 years from now.
If there's no further, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll vote aye.
So it was passed 2-1.
I voted aye.
Oh, you voted aye, I'm sorry, so it was unanimous. I apologize, I just misunderstood. And is there any further business to come before this committee? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Madam President.
Oh, I'm
Chair,
sorry.
sorry.
I missed that. I apologize.
I just want to reference that as requested from the board. In back of packet, there's informational, the weekly report on teacher absences and the fill rate, reporting on combined classes and the number of classes that are moved. And then we also included a document showing the number of posted positions and number of positions that were closed out. So I hope that's helpful.
We seem to be, even as we gain, we lose. So we had, I think, 14 resignations. So even as we're, I mean, you were doing a great job. It seems to me that you've really been out there beating the bushes and getting what we need. But we can, as we continue to lose, even though we've gained, we still have more that we need to. So, but thank you for including it, and thank you for your work. We appreciate it. Is that, don't let me, if anybody has anything to say, I'm happy to hear it. Okay, seeing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.